wait a minute, see a sex professional for a sexual hang-up. Duh. Like it should be that obvious.
Welcome back to MUSE On The Mic. I'm Riley.
And I'm Emily. Thanks again for joining us on another awesome episode of MUSE On The Mic. So happy you're here. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on social media. You'll find all of that in the caption below. Join us on Patreon every Wednesday, YouTube on Mondays, and Sunday nights, Patreon for Just the Tip with Riley for the hottest sex tips. My favorite. Riley, what are we doing today? Let everybody know.
I'm really excited for this episode. We're tapping into our clients, or one client in particular that's an ongoing client, let's just say. It's someone that's dealing with erectile dysfunction and kind of showcasing the therapeutic side of our industry, that it's not all flashy tits and ass, that there is healing, there is a therapeutic side to this.
It really is. And I love this guy. I love his story and his journey that he's on. We're going to read some of his emails and the communication that we've had with his permission and keep everybody anonymous. But he's found a very special muse who is helping him through some of these issues. And he's making a ton of progress. And I think that is the most awesome part. And I know there'll be a bunch of gentlemen that can relate to something like this, because whether it's an ongoing problem or an occasional problem or just like a funk and a like phase, it can be hard to get over that hump sometimes, especially if it's long term. So that's where this gentleman is. And I think this is going to be a great one. I'm excited.
I'm so excited that he allowed you to share his story, because it is such a vast or big topic. It affects so many. I think the statistic I found was something like 50% of men over the age of 40 deal with this. And I have to assume that oftentimes they deal with it alone, in silence, with shame. So bringing it kind of to the forefront to you guys that are listening, hopefully will help a lot of people.
Such a good point, because yeah, I mean, who wants to talk about that with their friends?
Right.
Like, guess what? That's a weird conversation to have, right? I mean, I would say women in some respects can be similar. I've known women that have never experienced an orgasm in their life, and it's not necessarily the first thing they talk about, but it may come up in conversation here and there. But who's out like announcing that to the world? Like, that's just not a thing. And so as much as we talk about like sex, not just here on the pod, but in society in general, there are so many elements that have that shame and that stigma around it that they just don't want to talk about it. And I think the same goes for the sex work element. But here we are as an available resource for people to come in to meet somebody special that can literally walk them through the therapeutic elements and ways to overcome some of those challenges. I'm just, my heart just like fills with love about this, because it's the unexpected, like sweeter sides of sex work that nobody thinks happen. And here we are.
I love it.
I remember when I worked as well. I mean, you encountered the odd session that didn't end with a happy ending. It was like, could have been a random one-off where he had just a bad day or something, and they'd be like, don't worry about it, Em, it's fine today. We'll try next time, or something like that. But with this gentleman, it's an ongoing problem. So let me start off with one of his initial emails to me. Kind of gives a bit of backstory and like where he's at. And then we'll get into what he's been doing with one of our muses, because they're making progress and I'm so excited. He checks in with me all the time and I'm like, yay! Like I'm cheerleading his penis. It's so fun. Okay, so hi, Emily. I wanted to give you some backstory as to why I'm looking for this session. I've had sexual performance anxiety issues for a very long time when it comes to being with someone else. It's like a complete mental blockage for me when it comes to trying to be with someone, getting aroused and trying to please my significant other as well. I've tried all kinds of traditional solutions that didn't work. So I'm trying to think outside the box and wanted to do this session, hopefully to break this mind blockage, build my confidence after such a long time. Sort of like someone facing their phobias, it says in brackets. In your experience, have you encountered something like this with a client before who's trying to deal with a similar problem? And so my response to him was, definitely. It's technically something called touch therapy, which how much do sex workers get acknowledged for being a therapeutic option? But we are, let's be real. It's a major component of the work that we do. Having sessions at Muse can help people overcome many feelings of hesitation, hangups, phobias, etc. And getting you past that hump on the mental side is such a beautiful thing for us to be able to offer people. And I was like, I'm proud of you for taking these steps. I think he deserves all the pleasure in the world. And I was just from these initial communications, I was a smitten little kitten because I was like, this gentleman just sounds so peachy lovely and is focused on the right parts of it.
Yeah.
And yet I hope in the throes of the session, he gets lost in the excitement and the passion, because that's the best way to get out of your head about it.
Yeah.
And there are definitely people that have erectile dysfunction issues that are medically based. And that is definitely something someone needs to work with their doctor about.
Mhm.
But even that can be done in tandem with seeing a professional, because a professional sex worker is literally a professional. That's what we do. No different than any other professional. You go to a chiropractor when you want your bones cracked. You don't ask your buddy to like bring your neck
Right.
sideways, right? So the same types of thing, but even if it's medical, to have someone who's aware of those situations, first of all, and be able to work with you throughout a session instead of just focusing on this goal, or the pressure that can happen in like your personal relationships where your wife or your partner is looking at you being like, are you done yet? Or like, is it not going to work again? Or some like negative connotation can make even the medical thing become a mental thing. And
Yeah.
now we're just hung up all together. And now it's like this huge bag of worms. How are we ever going to unravel all of this and just get back to enjoying intimacy and
Mhm.
having a good cum every once in a while? I mean, listen, that clears the pipes and the levels of sanity in most human beings, right?
Yeah.
So to be really that stuck, I love that he was thinking outside the box. I love that he found Muse and that we now have this open dialogue. I think it's fantastic. And I know I've kept you up to date constantly about this guy. I think I've been talking about him since
Yeah.
the beginning because I'm like, oh my God, him again.
It's such a great story and a real testament to what sex workers can do for people. But it really gives or allows us to empathize. At least it allowed me to empathize with this guy, that there's so many moving parts to a sexual experience. And is he really going to feel comfortable going to his partner or to a first date that, you're getting to a sexual place in the date and say, can we work through this together? Likely not. So he's going to someone that doesn't have judgment, that he can feel he's in a safe space. And I mean, there is so much pressure on guys that they're thinking about pleasing her and what they're doing for her and not really focusing on themselves. And then it just gets all jumbled up. And like we've discussed before, our biggest sex organ is our brain. So that's a crazy place to get lost into. And I love that he took the initiative to reach out and to work on this because it's important.
I completely agree with that. And I hope other people are inspired hearing this because they may not have thought of that and been like, I've tried all these other things, right? You start
Yeah.
off maybe with your doctor. And then if that doesn't work, you can go almost like a little holistic in terms of like, let me try acupuncture. Let me try some
Right.
Chinese medicine or, all these other like things. And you can go far beyond even those traditional ones and get into some hippy dippy stuff too, right? You're ordering pills off the internet and all these different things, but it's not always just a blue pill solution. It can be way more mental than anything else. And with any kind of hang up, I mean, any kind of fear or phobia, I mean, tell someone to overcome a fear of heights. And they're like, listen,
Right.
terrifying, first of all, no. But like, your options are what? Stare down the barrel of a bungee jump or nothing? Like,
Right.
I love that this has so many options. And
Mhm.
it makes sense when you think about it. Wait a minute, see a sex professional for a sexual hangup. Duh. Like it
Yeah.
should be that obvious. And the girl that he's chosen is, first of all, extremely skilled and well versed, has ample experience, and has the most understanding, patient, like soul to her. That she's a perfect person that I matched him with. And she's loving the journey too. I do have a bit of a message I'm going to read later on from her about this gent. I know he'll be listening and I know he hasn't heard that message. So I hope that'll warm his heart too. But she's checked in with me a few times about the amazing progress that they're making. Um, And it's really cool to have those check-ins. It's like I get this little report card email every couple weeks, and I'm like, yeah, what are we doing next time? And just unwinding, like you said, unraveling and unwinding all of that stuff could take months. It could take a lot. I mean, it's like any other kind of trauma, depending on why someone ends up with these issues. It could be a one-off that starts a snowball. It could be a traumatic experience. It could be all kinds of different things on what like psychs out your brain to
Mhm.
achieve climax. And that goes for both sexes, right? If you're struggling to achieve orgasm, it usually starts up here. And it's usually from either stress or some sort of trauma or some like bad experience that just kind of creates this block.
Mhm.
And if we can brick by brick take that apart, you're literally like causing someone's sexual freedom. They're being liberated.
Yeah.
It's the coolest thing ever. And I have to like always give a nod to sex workers because they do amazing work.
Yeah.
As much as like the tits and ass is a great part. And there are definitely those kind of dudes too that are just like
Mhm.
nice tits and they go along with their day.
Yeah.
And some where they already know. Like I remember having older clients, like elderly clients, senior citizen clients that would announce at the very beginning of the session, like it doesn't always work, but let's give it a whirl. And I'm like,
Right.
okay. And then I take it as a bit of a challenge. I like that he came forward with his whole story right from the start and was like, it hasn't always been this way, but it's been this way for a really long time. And it's to not necessarily be a lifelong client of a sex worker or of Muse or of this particular girl, but that he wants this to help his personal life. And so, in order to solve that solution, to be able to relate to a partner, to please a partner, because as much as we want pleasure, we want to come. We also expect a man to come. And
Yeah.
so we put pressure, whether it's, willingly or not. And so he wants to be able to satisfy that element too.
Yeah.
Like, it's great if you can eat good pussy. It's great if you can finger really well and all those things. But like, sometimes you just want to do the do.
Yeah.
And sometimes she just wants jizz on her face at the end. Like, that's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
And so he really wants to be able to provide that in his personal life. And I'm like, A plus all around. So let me continue on with some of his messages here, because when I talked to him about touch therapy, he was completely shocked. He's like, I didn't even know that. As soon as I read your message, I started Googling. Turns out you're completely right. Like all these anxieties and these fears, it has a name. Sometimes having a name to go with like a diagnosis can also make a really big difference on how you feel. It's normalizing, right? So after his first session, he wrote me a message. Came back from my session with so and so. She was amazing. And although I didn't climax as I expected, I felt so comfortable and safe with her. She's easy to talk to. She was very understanding of my situation. It definitely felt like a therapy session for me. And I'm planning on scheduling more sessions in the future to deal with this mental blockage. Thank you so much for everything. And I'm super pumped. Continue this path to recovery with the help of the Muse team. Oh, like, melt my little heart. He's the sweetest guy ever.
Yeah.
Our entire front desk team is smitten with this man too. Like he is
Yeah.
just a charming fellow. But I can only imagine how nervous he was for that very first time. Like imagine you're him and you're like, what's gonna happen? How's it gonna go? Is she gonna judge me?
Yeah.
Like
And
it means it's so.
did you speak to the muse that we're referring to? Did you speak to her previous to the session, or did you just recommend her?
I gave her a brief rundown. I didn't want to like it's his story to tell, right? I don't want to tell
Yeah.
his story, put words in his mouth, but I explained the situation, explained what he was looking for, told her a bit about my response to him and that like, yes, this is something we can absolutely help you with.
Yeah.
And at first she was like, okay, thanks, Emily. And like a couple hours later, she texted me and she's like, I can't stop thinking about this. She's like, I'm so excited for this. This is like the best like proposition that she's been given in a while. And I think normally you would come across that more organically than your boss delivering you a memo being like,
Right.
by the way, Thursday at 3 o'clock, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
Which I definitely do. Like there's a
Mhm.
fetish request or a couple or something. I definitely give people the heads up, but this one's just so intimate and personal that normally you literally have to be like hands on to find out or for him to even discuss it. Some of them don't even bring it up or mention
Mhm.
it. So the fact that she was like knowing ahead of time, she did research. She was like, almost second guessing her own skills for a minute to be like, I really want to deliver for him.
Yeah.
And so she just did all the work she should have done. And then magic happened in their very first session. He loves her. She is, I mean, we love her too, right? But like, oh, he's the hard eyes emoji with her because she is not just so kind and so skilled and so patient. She's fucking beautiful and
Yeah.
absolutely skilled. So I can only imagine because if one sensation isn't necessarily working, every other part of his body must be on overdrive with her all
Yeah.
over you. I can only imagine being even a fly on the wall in her sessions. I would probably come to some watching.
No, you really
She's
did
such a
make a
thing.
good recommendation.
Oh, hey, welcome back to Just the Tip with Riley. So today we're talking about lasting longer, the dreaded phrase, premature ejaculation. Premature ejaculation affects 1 in 3 men, so this is a topic we need to discuss, guys. So today, your personal wing girl Riley's back for your climax control program. This program is going to consist of 7 tips, and the 7th one, guys, being the top tier in my opinion, so stick around to the end. All right, so let's dive into these 7 tips for climax control. Let's go. Strengthen your pelvic floor muscles by doing Kegels. For those of you who don't know how to do that, next time you're in the bathroom, cut off the flow of urine, release it, and cut it off again. Now you know what muscles you're trying to isolate. Or stand in front of the bathroom mirror and try to bring your balls up right into your guts without using your hands. A side benefit to doing this is as you age, it's going to help you maintain bladder control. Don't approach sex with a failing mindset. Negative self-talk can quickly spiral into self-fulfilling prophecies. Hype yourself up, guys. You've got this. Start with some pre-game masturbation. Tell her you want to watch her touch herself. Not only will she love it, but it will help her get a head start in closing the orgasm gap.
If this tip isn't enough, subscribe to Patreon for the whole thing.
I mean, I feel like we have a number of girls that are like skill wise equipped. In terms of like give a shit and their care are absolutely equipped to handle any customers like this. But there was something about the way he spoke that I was like, I'm just the girl for you. Like I knew right away. And by the sounds of it, they're like becoming like the best of friends too. So good.
I love
Make your
that.
friends, make the best friends. It's my
And
lifelong
listen,
motto.
sex workers are multifaceted. We can
They
heal,
really
we can
are.
do all the things.
It's true, but like imagine how life-changing this is going to be for him
Yeah.
and is already, right? But like by the time he gets to like the finish line of this the finish line of this journey, like it literally will change his life. I don't know if he's married or if he's single or if he wants to get out and start dating, but either which way, that literally changes your life.
Yeah.
And again, kudos to sex workers everywhere because we literally change lives all the time. And I love when it's in these unexpected, wholesome ways because, yeah, touch therapy, come on in for it. I feel like anyone that has like autism spectrum might be a little overloaded with sensations. Like there's so many different elements that we can do a therapeutic approach to that can help people get through. I mean, we've had clients with prostate cancer and prostate issues removed prostates and can never orgasm a certain way again. And we still find a way to find their like pleasure peak. And we have people that have had spinal injuries, are in wheelchairs, special needs, and we find ways to get to the point of, I hate to use the word normal, but that's often what people want. They're just like, I just
Right.
want to have a normal orgasm. I want to have a normal sexual experience. I want to feel like every other guy.
Yeah.
Who knew? We're magicians. We're little penis whisperers. Okay. So I've been gassing him up the whole time about how proud I am of him. And so each time he comes in for a session, he usually books through email with me and then like kind of gives me a little follow-up afterwards. And he's like, it's always a fun time with so and so, especially with how patient and understanding she is with my little problem. Which I don't think it's a problem. You're just a guy and it's just
Yeah.
life, right? Thank you both so much for all your understanding and slowly but surely changing my life forever. Heart emoji. Like this man just mushes me over every time. So the next one is a longer one, but it's like a full rundown on some stuff here, and I love it. So I just wanted to write this email to tell you how grateful I am to you and the Muse team. I haven't been able to make it in for my sessions for over a month due to how crazy busy my real life schedule has been. And it's left me quite exhausted and stressed out like crazy. Same.
Right.
Um, the day I was finally able to make it in this week's session, my mood suddenly turned around before I even got to Muse. I was greeted by the lovely one of our managers at the front desk and laughing and chatting with her. She's always a blast to talk to, in brackets, to having my session with so and so, who really calmed me down, not just with my session, but having fun conversations. My energy was rebooted for those 90 minutes. I was able to get away from all that stress and workload and ready to tackle my day. I mainly started coming to Muse to fix this lifelong problem I've had, but now it's become a safe haven for me and for myself, my mental health, to get away from the stress. I never thought in a million years I would find a place like this in my lifetime. The sexual issues I have are still ongoing, but we're making so much progress. I know it will take some time to fix, but I truly enjoy this journey with you. Thanks to you, manager, attendant, and the whole Muse team. I cannot thank you enough for this. My only regret is that I didn't start it sooner. Muse is more than just a massage parlor to me. Oh, I'm getting emotional. It's more than just a massage parlor to me. It really is a safe haven that allows me to grow as a person and to feel whole again as a man. I am forever grateful.
I love that.
It immediately chokes me up. That's the sweetest shit I've ever heard. Oh, clearly this is why everyone's just smitten with this guy, because like that's the cutest shit I've ever heard. And like if someone were to ever say like, Riley, Emily, what's your goal for this business? Like what would you really want to
Right.
see in society? Just literally photocopy this and pass
Yeah.
it around, because that's everything I could ever imagine. So
Yeah.
of course I messaged those two girls, right? And
Yeah.
the manager and the attendant. And I was like, guys, oh my God, so and so emailed me. Look, I'm still watery eyed. Like, blah, blah, blah. I told him how grateful he was and all the things, the sweet things that he said. So I have their responses, the two
Oh,
girls.
okay.
I love this part. I'll start with the manager first, because I sent a little voice note, obviously just telling her the feedback and then saying how proud of her I was, because our managers are so good about connecting with clients, but there's definitely times where it's so busy, they don't get those like intimate conversations. And yet sometimes the guy comes in at the right time, she's got 15 minutes to spare, and they sit and have a really good chat. So she was like, oh my God, I love this. Thank you for sharing this with me. Heart emojis. He's honestly such a sweetheart, and it makes me so happy to hear that. He's so much more talkative now, even. He's excited when he comes in, and you can literally see it in him that visiting us makes him happier.
Aw.
Right? And this, we have some fluffy managers, we have some not so fluffy managers. She's kind of on the cusp of not so fluffy. And so to get all these heart emojis and like how much she adores this guy, I was like, look at him changing our lives too. Like
Right?
it's definitely mutual. So then I messaged the attendant that he's been seeing, the Muse, and the emojis are all the like happy cry eyes, which is how I am right now. And capital letters. She's like, Emily, with a million Y's at the end. She's so sweet. She's like, he is literally the sweetest, kindest, most deserving person I've met in a long time. I can't say enough nice things about him, and I can honestly say I care for him. Thank you so much for this message. I'm smiling ear to ear right now. This totally made my day. And then a
Aw.
bunch of hearts. And I was like, I love these girls as just like to the moon and back, because
Yeah.
sex workers have a shitty rep. You know what I mean? They can often be they either can be, or they can be assumed to be disconnected or a little
Mhm.
heartless, just like money hungry and not give a
Yeah.
shit. And you're just a number. You're just a dollar sign to me. And I've had further conversation with this attendant, and she's like, I think about him on my days off, wondering if he's
Wow.
okay, or excited for the next time I get to see him, or planning what we're going to do next time. And she doesn't share me the play by play, but she
Mhm.
has told me like we're making progress in this element and this element, and we almost got to finish this time, and da 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 da. And I'm like,
Wow.
you're invested. She's so invested in getting him past this hump that like I want to throw them both a party.
I was just thinking that. I'm like, would that embarrass him? We'll have to ask because
I don't know.
I want to get
It's
involved in this. Like it is, I
right.
love the story. And oh God, our team is so special. And I'm just so happy for him. I mean, he may end up being a longtime client of this in particular girl. But if not, I know he'll at some point in his life look back and be like, you know what, I spent a couple years or a couple months, whatever this journey turns into, at
Right.
Muse, and my life has changed. And my God, I never thought that would be a story we could tell. That I think it's amazing. I love what Muse is, and the girls that really truly embody what being a Muse is, that get it, provide this for people. And that's amazing.
Yeah, we're so blessed. We're so blessed. Who knew that Reverend Talk could be so fluffy? Like it's so good. And I'm so proud. And like
Yeah.
I'm so proud of him for being that brave
Yeah.
because this level of candor is, and I'm just a person in email. I haven't met him in person yet.
Yeah.
And he is so candid with me and clearly just as candid with everyone that he's met so far. He's mentioned even one of our other managers, or he sent me a massive email the other day about her too. I was like, anything she recommends ever, I trust everything she said because it was the best day of my life. Like, he's like, your team, even your front desk team is top notch. And he's making those personal connections
Yeah.
with like everyone that he encounters there. Like, it's above and beyond anything I could ask for. And yet everything I know about Muse and its capabilities and its potential, there are countless clients that send us rave reviews all the time, right? But there was something about this one that was just so different
Mhm.
and so immensely special, plus such a relatable topic. I hope anyone that's listening, whether you are local or not, find a place like Muse or come on into Muse or write us in or DM us on social media. We will make you the right match and we
Mhm.
will help change these things for you because what a fucking difference it's going to
Yeah.
make in this man's life, even already. Like,
Mhm.
whether he comes or not, whether it gets hard as a rock or not, is not even the point anymore. He's growing as a person. He's bouncing like out the door with joy. Like,
Yeah.
oh, you can't ask for anything better. I don't know too many things that women can do that make us feel that way. I love getting my hair done. I love getting my nails done. I love going to see my friends for drinks. But I don't necessarily been like that was life changing and everyone at that restaurant like changed me forever. Like
Right.
it's not that impactful. And it's because of the personal naked nature of it that it's
Yeah.
so intimate and so special, but so raw and honest. I don't know too many clients that are this honest with
Mhm.
us in general. I'll say it again. I'm smitten. I'm smitten with this whole journey. I think we should do something really special for him when he finally is like, guys, we overcame the hump. Like, throw
I can't
confetti
wait.
everywhere.
And you really do. She fills me in on this client's journey every step of the way because she's so proud. She's so like invested. It really is a team effort here. So kudos to you.
Yeah. Well, kudos to Team Muse altogether because it is such a group effort, and shows the quality and potential that not
Mhm.
just our staff show and have, but what clients can find in a place like Muse. It's not just a rub and tug at all. It is a literal safe haven, like he said,
Mhm.
for all things pleasure. And pleasure and physical intimacy is as human as things can get. I
Yeah.
mean, spiritual side of things is very mythical. You either believe or
Mhm.
you don't, right? Educational is very factual. This is physical. This is
Yeah.
physical. It's tangible. It's his real life experience, his lived experience. And same for the girls. If these are the kinds of clients that they're seeing, like, holy shit. I worked in a really shitty rub and tug, my first one. It was unlicensed. It was this kind of an apartment above this really disgusting karaoke bar. And the clients are pretty shitty. Let's be honest. They
Mhm.
were rough. They were aggressive. It was very wham bam. It took a long time for me to learn, but also to be able to find the right clients to make good connections with. And Muse is set up so differently that these are the kinds of people that we market to, that we attract, that we appeal to. And so these are perfect examples of the types of clients that come in at a place like Muse, the type of like life-changing treatments they can get, the experiences, and the sexiness of it all. Like, again, let's not discredit her fucking beauty and eroticism and all of that stuff. Combine all that together, there's not a therapist in the world that can compete. I'm sorry.
And I just think, again, like I'll tip my hat to him because I think, we've talked about penis and ego are so directly related. And I can't imagine the feelings that come along with ED for any man. But for him to take his issues, be accountable and say, I want change and I need to fix this. And God, you found the right place. But, my hat goes off to him because he's really taking control of his future. And I can't wait to hear the ending of this story.
Oh, it's going to be so great. We will keep everybody updated for sure. And I really hope this draws some people to message us, talk to us about this, because we might be able to help you with all kinds of things, whether it's prostate issues, whether it's testicle issues, whether it's penis issues, ED, mental stuff, trauma, all of it. I'm going to give a little bit of a nod to Dean Blundell because many times on his show, when he talks about us, he's like, it is actually a therapeutic treatment. And sometimes that makes me giggle. And sometimes I'm like, abso-fucking-lutely. But today's one of those days. Today is one of those like nods to that and the potential, because this is such an individual experience and everyone has their own. Imagine if we collect 50 stories like this of each person's like experience. I wish over the 15 years we've already been in business that we were collecting these kind of stories all along. I could probably dig up some reviews here and there, but just in general, even review board, they're not sharing this level of candor. And the fact that he gave me permission to like talk about and read some of this was really, really trusting and special too. So I agree with your nod to him because he's a champion of his own life right now. He took it by the reins and was like, I'm going to make a change. I'm going to do something about this.
And that's hard. I mean, so many people doesn't matter what the issue, they suffer and they suffer in silence. They isolate, it becomes lonely. Like he is taking control. And I think that's pretty incredible.
It's really, it's inspiring. That's for sure. I mean, I have my own little issues that I ignore forever. So I'll take a lesson because look what can happen, right? Magical things can happen on the other side of it and along the journey. So we will keep everyone updated. I hope that was informative for people. It's a brand new perspective and yet another facet to our little massage parlor world. And again, kudos to Muse because Muse rules. Everybody enjoyed this awesome episode. I sure did. My heart is like the Grinch bursting right now. And I'm probably going to go have a little cry and a happy one. Pour a glass of wine and call that a day. What about you?
And thank you again for this gentleman to allow us to share his story. And we will see you guys on the next episode of Muse on the Mic.
We'll see you guys. Bye.